If I can kill you, I will kill you. That's just how I am. And this is just the job I do, so let's go.
I think look, people have been asking him to fight somebody. So he said, all right, I'll fight AJ. And a lot of people wouldn't sign up for that. Even a lot of heavyweights wouldn't sign up for that.
Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul just turned dark. One statement from AJ has everyone questioning how dangerous this fight could be. However, Jake Paul says he feels no fear going into the fight and believes an upset is coming, and views this moment as the start of a major new chapter in his career.
Yeah, for sure. This is the biggest upset in sports history that's about to take place on Friday. I did, but I asked Jesus to take them away from me, and he did. And I literally don't feel any fear. So shout out to Jesus and the power of God and believing in faith. And I just keep praying and praying every single day. And I know something amazing is going to happen. This is my moment. This is the start of a massive chapter for me.
Moving on, Anthony Joshua says he isn't focused on criticism or concerns about integrity. For him, the goal of the fight is to spark conversation everywhere. Barbershops, taxis, planes. As long as people are talking about it, he believes the fight is doing exactly what it's supposed to do.
I'm not too sure. You know, my mind's not even there, but it's a great question. That's the whole point of this fight. It creates conversation, barbershop conversations, taxi conversations, airplane conversations, and that's what we want. The more people talking about the fight, regardless of what it is that they're talking about, is a massive bonus. So for me, I'm not worried about what people think about the integrity side. I'm more worried about, are they talking? And as long as they are, I think we're doing a good job.
Joshua added that boxing isn't about having fun, it's serious business. For him, this fight is about making noise, getting back into big-time bouts, and putting himself at the front of the race again. Joshua says this opportunity allows him to remind people why he's one of the leading fighters in the world, and he believes December 19th will prove that.
Boxing is not such a fun sport. You can't play boxing, so it's not so fun if I'm honest, but it was just a great opportunity to get back in the ring and get back to big-time business. As your colleague said, or the person next to you was saying, people are talking about this fight, and that's the whole point of boxing, is to make big noise, be in big fights, and that's exactly what this opportunity brings. So it wasn't so much just for the aspect of, let's get back, let's have a bit of fun. It was, let's make some noise, let's get back at the front of the queue, at the front of the race, and show people why we are the leading fighters in the world, and with the best promotional team in the world and the best training team in the world. So yeah, we're at the front again, and December 19th will prove why.
Continuing his point, he said that he deliberately keeps boxing separate from his family life. He doesn't bring his career home or talk shop with his son, preferring conversations about life, confidence, and bigger picture topics instead. Even with all the noise around fights and names like Jake Paul, he explained that boxing stays outside the front door. His family life comes first, and the sport doesn't dominate those relationships.
I don't really take boxing home, if I'm honest with you. He hasn't spoke about the fight. I haven't actually spoke to him about the fight. We talk about maths, the purpose of life. I talk to him about confidence, but I don't really talk to him about my career and stuff. Like, son, let me tell you about the jab I threw today in the gym, right? I was slipping this, and he'll be like, shut up, Dad. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really bother him with that talk, but I'm sure he knows. He likes gaming, but it's not a conversation that he brings up and never brought up. And he knows what I do way before Jake Paul. And even now, I find Jake Paul, he hasn't brought up the conversation, because I've never taken boxing past the front door, if I'm honest.
On the other end, Jake Paul dismisses criticism from so-called boxing purists, saying he doesn't even believe they exist. He questions who these people are, where they're found, and why their opinions should matter. According to Jake, the narrative that he's bad for boxing is outdated and fading, arguing that the criticism is coming from an imaginary peanut gallery that no longer has any real presence or influence.
I'm not even sure who the boxing purists are. Like, where are they? You know, like, who are these people that we talk about, and how pure are they? They can't be that pure. They go to church every day. I don't know, brother. I don't know. Because I don't know who they are or where they are. Like, it's like this peanut gallery that doesn't exist. Oh, Jake's not good. Jake's not good for boxing. Like, bro, where are these people? I don't see them on Twitter anymore. It's dead. It's dead.
Jake added that he feels extremely calm heading into the fight and believes he thrives under pressure, saying the bigger the moment, the better he performs. Despite the odds being stacked against him on paper, he claims he's the better boxer, criticizing Anthony Joshua's footwork and stiffness. Jake says his preparation has focused on bringing in the right sparring partners to mimic AJ's style and get the looks he expects on fight night.
You know, I feel super calm, and I think the bigger the moment and the bigger the occasion, I just rise to it, and I'm just prepared for these types of moments. So currently, not a ton of nerves, to be honest. Yeah, on paper, the cards are stacked against me. But really, in terms of boxing, I'm a better boxer than AJ, which is like hilarious to state. But he's got 2 left feet. He's stiff. If I was his coach, I'd put him in a dance class first before trying to box. And really just bringing in the right sparring partners to help me prepare.
Moreover, he said that he plans to go in and showcase his full skill set, adding that a win would only reinforce his belief that he's destined to become a world champion. Jake claimed that if this fight had happened earlier, he'd already be heavyweight champion, and stressed that he's just getting started confident he can reach the top, whether at heavyweight or cruiserweight.
But I'm just gonna go in there and display all my skills. Yeah, no, I mean, like when I win, my Instagram caption the day after was going to be heavyweight champion of the world. Like, if this fight was a couple months ago, I'd be the heavyweight champion of the world, you know, before Dubois, you know, whatever. But I'm just getting warmed up, you know, so we'll see. I'll become the heavyweight champ, cruiserweight champ, whatever.
Meanwhile, AJ makes it clear that he fully understands the expectations on him and the responsibility of carrying boxing on his back. He says he's done it before with the Ananu fight and is ready to do it again. While he respects the pressure and acknowledges it, he emphasizes that his own expectations of himself are already enough to keep him focused.
I'm carrying boxing on my back. I've done it with the Ngannou fight, and I'm going to do it again. I understand the expectation. I don't carry it because the expectation I have of myself is already enough, but I understand it, I acknowledge it, and I respect it. But that's about it as far as outside concern about this fight.
Jake Paul's last response to Anthony Joshua was that he believes AJ is projecting his own past mental struggles onto him. Jake said he's never lost his soul in a fight, unlike Joshua, and claimed it will be mentally tough for AJ once he starts losing rounds and can't land shots. He added that watching Joshua grow frustrated will be entertaining.
Because that's never happened to me. I've never lost my soul in a fight, but it happens to him all the time. So what's funny is he was projecting his own emotions of what happens to him onto me by saying, oh, you're gonna crumble and your soul's gonna leave your body and you're gonna be fighting. That he was just describing his own internal feelings of what happens to him in fights, which I find funny. So it's gonna be mentally very difficult for him when I start to win rounds and he can't hit me. It's gonna be very entertaining to watch and to see him be frustrated.
Moving on, YouTuber Showbiz the Adult commented he mocked the idea that Jake Paul somehow runs the entire boxing world, joking that people act like he can dictate contracts, pick opponents, or even control fighters like Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. The narrative around Jake, he said, has been blown way out of proportion, turning him into a cartoonish villain instead of looking at the fight realistically.
This is why Jake Paul represents the United States as America's boxing champion, because this is how Americans think now. Jake Paul is going to put in a contract and control AJ. He's going to control AJ. We don't know how big AJ is. We don't know shit. We think Jake Paul is so powerful he can control AJ and Tyson in the whole boxing world. He's Thanos with the man, bro. I'm telling you, we're
Similarly, Duke McKenzie also adds, saying that while the fight is clearly mismatched in terms of skill and experience, its appeal and hype are driven entirely by commercial interests. He notes that Jake Paul's earning power and ability to draw attention make the fight lucrative, but from a pure boxing perspective, he has no business facing someone of Anthony Joshua's caliber.
Well, to be honest with you, I really didn't think this fight was going to happen, for obvious reasons. My obvious reasons are the health and safety aspect of a Jake Paul. Now, when you look at this fight and you see it for what it is, you've got a seasoned heavyweight world champion. He's an ex-Olympic amateur champion. When you look at it and you try to balance these two up, Jake Paul's got absolutely no business being in the same ring as Anthony Joshua. He doesn't deserve to be in the same ring as Anthony Joshua. But when you look at it from a commercial perspective, he probably is generating more money than any other fighter, professional boxer on the planet right now. So you know, because you're not silly, and I know because I'm not silly, that this fight is all about one thing. It's about money.
He also said that no one could realistically turn down the massive payday this fight offers, even though, on paper, Jake Paul shouldn't stand a chance against Anthony Joshua. He predicts that Joshua will likely win comfortably, possibly within 2 to 3 rounds. McKenzie explained that the challenge for Joshua will be making Jake cooperate in the ring, since knocking out an uncooperative opponent is always more difficult.
And there isn't a human being on this planet that would walk away from that kind of a money, which on paper this looks like the easiest 60-70 million that anybody could ever make. Jake Paul shouldn't have a chance against Anthony Joshua, so I would expect Joshua to quite comfortably, not even probably break sweat, and take this guy out within about 2 to 3 rounds. Because what we have to try and understand is, when you're trying to survive in a fight, which simply means you don't want to get hit, it's hard to actually knock out somebody that doesn't cooperate.
Continuing, Duke McKenzie says that Jake Paul will mainly try to survive the fight because he lacks the skill, power, and experience to trouble Anthony Joshua. He adds that while casual fans might tune in for the spectacle, they could be disappointed with the outcome, as the fight is more about entertainment than a competitive boxing contest for hardened fans.
2-3 rounds max. Because, like I say, Jake Paul is going to try and survive. He can't beat Anthony Joshua. He doesn't have the skill set to beat Anthony Joshua. He doesn't hit hard enough to beat Anthony Joshua. There is nothing on his Misfits YouTube resume to suggest he could even trouble Anthony Joshua in any way, shape or form. So, the viewing public that are going to watch this fight obviously are boxing fans. We're not hardened boxing fans. I'd say they're more casual fans. They will probably be quite disappointed because they won't get the result they're looking for, because I think Jake Paul's got quite a number of supporters and Anthony Joshua's got lots of supporters, but I don't think hardened Anthony Joshua supporters will watch this fight.
In addition, YouTube creator Wade Concept says that while Jake Paul has often been an underdog in his previous fights, this situation is completely different. He points out that Jake being an underdog against fighters like Tyron Woodley or Ben Askren made sense in context, but those matchups were not on the same level as facing Anthony Joshua. Wade emphasizes that Jake is rightfully the underdog here, and the fight presents a much bigger challenge than anything he's faced before.
Jake should be like plus 15, plus 2,000. No joke. But also, when Jake says this stuff about, it's not surprising he's an underdog and, he's been an underdog his whole life and he's had other performances where he's an underdog, those things are not the same. And I'm sure he knows this, but like being an underdog your whole life, having underdog performances against guys like Tyron Woodley and maybe even Ben Askren, where he was an underdog in that fight, those weren't the same as Anthony fucking Joshua. Like, he's rightfully an underdog in this fight. In those fights, he should not have been the underdog. Jake was better than those guys. This is completely different.
He also added that Jake plans to start the fight defensively, looking to frustrate Anthony Joshua and force him into mistakes. By staying patient and cautious early on, Jake aims to capitalize on any openings when AJ overcommits, turning the pressure back onto Joshua.
Jake is going to make this, or at least, from what I'm reading, he wants to make this a boring fight. Not to say that, like, Jake's not going to come out and fight, but he's going to make this a very, I think, early on defensive, which is what everybody thinks Jake's going to do. Very defensive and patient fight, because he doesn't care about the boos, and he wants to put the boos on AJ to pressure AJ to do something to get out of pocket, and Jake catching him on the back foot. I've said this from this time this fight has been made that AJ is going to try to pressure Jake.
Ade Oladi says he's baffled by the narrative that Jake Paul could realistically challenge Anthony Joshua. He questions whether people are promoting this idea for clicks, retweets, or likes, noting that even knowledgeable boxing fans suggesting Jake might cause AJ problems don't make sense to him.
I love how, I don't know how this always works, but there seems to be a narrative sort of being spun that Jake Paul has a chance in this fight. I don't know if people are doing it for clicks, for retweets. I'm not quite sure. For likes, I'm not quite sure. But there are people that like know their like know their boxing. Like, oh, you know, I think Jake Paul could cause AJ some problems. We're like, what are we doing?
Moving on, Chael Sonnen also commented on this, saying that while the fight will draw attention and generate revenue, from a pure skill perspective, Jake Paul doesn't stand a chance against Anthony Joshua. He echoed the sentiment that Joshua's experience, power, and technique make him far too dangerous for Paul to realistically threaten with a knockout.
That Jake Paul is going to knock out Anthony Joshua because he's right. If they let him get in there with a shovel, he still wouldn't get the shovel to Joshua's head, and if he did, he wouldn't generate enough power to knock him out, all right? There's no way on earth, are the words of a world champion, and he's right.
Lastly, he said that he completely agrees with Bisping's assessment, emphasizing that calling the fight dangerous isn't an exaggeration or a promotional tactic. He highlighted that a smaller, less experienced fighter facing an Olympic champion who possesses significant power is inherently risky, making this matchup genuinely perilous in the ring.
I agree with everything Bisping said. I know I used different words, but using the word dangerous, that's not an overstatement, and that's not a promotional term. Bisping saying straight up, here's what we've got. We've got a smaller, less experienced man taking on the Olympic champion. Oh, and by the way, the smaller, less experienced man was planning on, at least by Olympic champion standards, taking on a bum.
Drop your thoughts in the comments. Are you hyped to see Anthony Joshua finally shut Jake Paul up after that chilling warning? Or do you think this fight is all talk and hype with no real substance? With AJ sounding more serious than ever, fans are split. Is this the moment Jake's gamble backfires, or is boxing leaning too far into spectacle? Hit like and subscribe for all the latest fight news, reactions, and breakdowns.